Hey, we're here, motherfucking Greg White of SG Studios. The man, the myth, the legend, the dude I've been hyping up on all my content and my streams and everything for years and years and years. He's had a hand in a lot of my tracks and just overall great dude.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome, Greg.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, the song was called Fairytale Ending by Cate Gartner. You want to say a little bit about her?
She's 17 years old, and man, she's just got pipes. She's a great singer, and really loved the production of her project. You know, it was just fun, hands-on with a couple of other writers involved. She's out there doing it. You know.
Was that Josh playing drums on there?
Yes. Yeah. Josh
Who
is
else?
kind of my go-to.
Yeah.
Hayden Bubeck.
What does Hayden play?
Hayden plays bass.
Okay.
And then I think Larry Rolando on acoustic. And I think I did some of the electric. I think Larry did some of the electric.
Nice.
You know, I did the keys.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a mishmash of everybody.
Okay. Hell yeah. Yeah, I always love working in a studio. Josh is also another professional.
He's a great producer in his own right.
Oh yeah,
you know, he really is. His mind is amazing how it works and how he can create parts for what works best for the song. You know.
Yeah, most definitely. I remember him charting out for like a couple of my songs and just like being real like attentive and to like how the song structure is and like where it needs to go and whatnot. I thought I silenced that.
Who would think a drummer can just sit back and write a chart without picking up an instrument
Exactly.
and know all the chords?
Exactly. That is.
He irritates me.
That's so uncommon for real.
I should do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, so like Greg, usually with this podcast I like to talk about like early beginnings in music. I know you've been in the game for a long time. What are you going on?
I just thought you did it.
I know, right? I don't know how iPhones work. I've never had an iPhone before. How do you silence text?
Just flip that thing on the side.
Flip the thing?
Is it the iPhone?
Greg's gonna show me.
Look at this. Oh wait.
Is it?
I can't even reach it. Look at that. Boom.
What the? Bro. Bro, Greg is showing me new shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So my brother got me this iPhone, and you know, you already know I've been adamantly against Apple for a long time.
I'm so pro Apple. So.
I know. It's a war today. This is actually going to be a thumb war for. No, just kidding. no, my hands are so clammy right now. Coffee already went straight to my veins.
Thanks for the coffee. I hardly slept.
Oh
so.
Yeah, hey, there you go. Got to get the energy up. Yeah, so let's talk about like the beginning. So like what was like the music growing up in your household?
Country,
like straight up.
Old
like
school.
What artists?
Waylon, Willie. So my parents were all old school country and kind of didn't get off into any of the hippie stuff or any of that, and pretty straight and narrow. And so my sister listened to the good music, and so I would sneak into her room and get her cassettes and would hear Def Leppard and George Michael's. I mean, God, that record was great.
George Michael's, like in Def Leppard?
No, not in Def Leppard,
okay.
but George Michael, the
George Michael.
artist.
Okay, I was like, is there a George Michael in Def Leppard?
He was in Wham first,
okay.
But then he did his own solo record. This was
I didn't know that.
Probably before you were born.
George Michael. What song is like? Is he the one that did that really famous like saxophone song?
Oh, I don't think so.
No, I'm thinking of someone else.
This is sad. Okay, I'm a music producer, and I can remember the album cover, but I can't remember a song he did. I remember it's good. Just had a picture of his butt on there. What's that say about me?
Memories. Some things just stick with you. Bruce Springsteen got away with it, right?
Right. It was kind of the same deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, my sister had all the good music and the Eagles.
You talking about like vinyl or
cassettes? Back then, you know. Well, even before that, you know, 8 tracks of Neil Diamond, the jazz singer, and then of course, I had all the like Christmas records when I was a kid of Alvin and the Chipmunks and stuff like that. And so I was always beating on everything, and
So like super young, like
real young. I had a knack for something. I didn't know what it was yet, and loved music.
Were your parents musicians?
No, not at all. My sister actually has 2 masters in art, and I did the music path, and they supported us. I actually grew up on a farm.
Oh, really?
And so they said, you're going to go to college because of this. Y'all are working now. And we didn't have we had a good childhood, but I mean, we worked our butts off.
Yeah.
But they paid for our college because of that. And we're so blessed for that.
Yeah, that's
so
incredible.
and they encouraged us to do whatever we wanted.
That's really incredible, man.
Yeah.
So were there instruments in the house?
No, not till 6th grade. My sister took guitar lessons. I was probably in the 5th grade, and I grabbed her guitar and goofed around on it. You know, I was into bikes and skateboards, and we had a quarter pipe at my house. I thought that was my path, you know. And
what?
Yeah, 6th grade, 7th grade.
So jealously. You don't know how bad I wanted a quarter pipe.
Listening to Suicidal Tendencies, skating, riding bikes.
So we're talking about 80s now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
80s. So, you know, and then one point I fell in love with the guitar, and we went on a trip to Alabama. And I found a guitar in the closet of the people's house we were staying at, and I asked if I could play with it. And that's all I did all week. So we get back home.
So by play with it, were you just like guessing?
Dun, 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 over and over all week long. That's all I played, just on one string.
Yeah, 7 Nation Army wasn't out back then, right?
Yeah, it was probably 6th grade, somewhere around in there. And then, you know, we get back home, and my dad's like, hey, you need to get all the luggage out. And I was like, I got it all. And, you know, he's always somewhat of a hard man back in those days. And so I go back out there, and he had bought that guitar for me as a box guitar and a Marlboro amp.
Dad of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. And so it started it. And I remember my friends coming in going, hey, let's skate. Hey, let's ride bikes. I'm like, no, man, check this out. And MTV's on, you know. And just sat in my room and played. And,
okay, so what got you into the guitar? Was it like some certain guitar playing?
Well, I have a friend, Paul Hatton. He lives in Houston. He was older than me, and you know, I grew up in church, and so we were always there together. And he played guitar, and so
for the church band.
There wasn't really. It wasn't that way back then.
Oh, okay.
You know, he just played guitar. His parents were our music leaders.
Okay.
And so he would make me sit and play the Stairway to Heaven background, like dun dun ticka ticka dun dun ticka ticka dun, while he practiced the solo over and over and over.
Okay.
Like, no, keep going. Oh, my fingers hurt.
Days before YouTube.
Yeah, so he's probably one of my biggest influence. And a youth minister, Lee Varian, he's now at Gateway Church here in town. He encouraged us, so we'd like play at youth group and change the lyrics to church lyrics, and
that's cool.
Play like Sweet Child of Mine and stuff like that. And you know, he encouraged us and pushed us along, and a group of us got together and played. And it was good.
So, like, was there any particular style of guitar playing that you were aiming for?
Oh man, that's a little shameful.
No,
I remember like Poison. I was like, if I could just play "Talk Dirty to Me" solo. You may not even know what this is.
I don't. I do not. All I know is nothing but a good time.
Okay, yeah. So you know the era and you know the sound, but I mean it's simple. It's simple stuff. And back then I thought I'll never be able to play that. It's something that you know you could listen to one time and play it back.
Yeah,
you know, it's pretty simple. And so you know, listening to all those bands that were on MTV and then like Bruce Springsteen comes on, it's like, who is this dude? Like I didn't realize he had a whole career before I saw him, before Born in the USA, or James Brown and or Run DMC with you know, Aerosmith. Like, it's like, who's this old guy singing with Run DMC? You know. So I mean, that was my major discovery of music. You know.
So was it like the glamour of like rock star like ism?
In the beginning, yeah, that's what I wanted. You know, and that's what I thought was cool. You know, in the beginning, and so yeah, coming up through that, and then you know, Paul really kind of guided me, and Lee both. They knew so much more about music than me, so
they're like helping with technique and stuff.
Yeah, Paul was definitely. Well, you know, I'm sure we'll get there, but if we fast forward to post graduation from college, I get this phone call like, "Hey, dude, do you want to have an adventure?" I'm like, "What are we talking about?" He's like, "If you look at everything as an adventure, you'll love it. Let's go on the road with this country band." So for 2 years, I did that, playing George Strait and all this stuff, and I didn't know any of it. I didn't really learn any of it. So Paul's playing bass in the band, and he's like singing me or showing me in the hotel rooms the signatures and stuff to these country songs. And I remember playing them for weeks, and then like hearing it on the radio and going, "Oh wow, that's how that song goes."
That's so crazy.
Because I didn't listen. You know, I kind of ran away from country music. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like even just hearing you talk about it, it's such a mind-blowing, like, different time. Like, it probably doesn't seem so different to you. Like, you're talking about it so casually, but it just throws me off.
I'm 50 years old.
I know, but you know, if I'm learning a song, like, I have a literal Spotify playlist of songs to cover, and I can just go through, listen to it. I'll listen to it over and over again. You know, I don't have to pull out a CD player or put a thing or like hit the track. It's just I can just hit repeat and it'll go.
Well, and you can go on YouTube and see some dude playing it and teaching you how. We didn't have that. I had Paul.
Right.
Or I took a few guitar lessons. And he had
you.
Yeah, to sit there and play while he practiced.
Yeah, exactly. It's so great. Like, now you can just look up any backing track and practice your scales and solos or whatever. But, like, back then, you just had to have a good friend like Greg.
Well, and Guitar Player Magazine and Guitar Magazine, and you'd get the tabs that month, and you're like, I'm going to learn the solo, and... You know,
oh my, that's a blast from the past. I forgot about that. When I first started playing guitar, it was like 2004. I was 14. So I would go through all the Ultimate Guitar magazines at Walmart, and there were always tabs in the back. And blast from the past, I completely forgot about that. And I forgot how I learned songs.
That's the only way you could learn if you couldn't. You know, I didn't have the ability to hear it and play it back. Some of it was so fast, and you know, having it written down in tab right there was like, that was just so amazing. You know.
Yeah, it's also a really good way to learn because you can, like, I remember learning like hammer-ons and pull-offs and like learning good technique and how to move them around the neck and stuff like that from like different tabs and stuff like that.
Definitely.
But once I learned chord charts, that's when I didn't really look at tabs anymore.
Right.
If I needed to know the tab, I just figured it out.
Sure. Yeah, you developed an ear and critical listening ear that could determine what's being played and figure it out. Yeah.
Okay, so like, all right, we could start go to the college. So I know at some point you learned like blues, right? Was that?
Yeah, well, there's another influence in my life. Bruce Cullum. He was always a step ahead of me as far as what he was learning, and so I remember he got real into Stevie Ray Vaughan when I was in high school, you know, and then I started listening to him, got real into him, and was into him all the way into college. And I learned everything I could and just ripping his stuff off. You know, to learn and get a repertoire of something that you play, you mimic other people, and then you develop things on your own. And I remember thinking, like, man, Stevie Ray's so amazing and Hendrix is trash. I don't like his sound. And then I finally heard Hendrix. And
you mean like you heard Hendrix?
I heard him, yeah, with some headphones on and with a record player. So I started collecting everything Hendrix did on CD when I was in college, and I couldn't get it all. I was getting imports and all this stuff, so I sold all of that and just started collecting vinyl. It was easier to find on vinyl.
So like, I'm sure like now today, like being a producer, like you're well aware of it, but like back then, were you cognizant, or were you like, did you notice like Jimmy's innovation in producing, like the way he just tried to like mess up the sound, kind of? Like, I know he was like an early innovator of like
somewhat, yeah. And it's like jazz. So when I first heard it, I was being so used to Stevie Ray Vaughan, I was like, ugh, it wasn't pleasing to my ear at first, and it took a while. You know, if you want to listen to real like bebop jazz, you have to import yourself into it and just force yourself to listen to it until you get used to it. And it was the same for me with Hendrix. You know, it was just so nasty and so dirty, and the way he played was so dirty compared to Stevie Ray Vaughan's more pristine, clean playing. Not like Eric Johnson, but you know, it just took me a while to kind of get into it, you know, and understand it. But as far as producing goes, I don't know if I thought of things like that back then. Because even in college, I still wanted to be just a musician. Now, I'd already worked in studios, you know. For
like engineering?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All through college, early days of college, before I went to Nashville. I worked in the college studio, and then I worked for professional studio recording. And my first job was at Smart Productions. Chip Ricker, shout out to him. He was the owner. You know, I learned a lot from him too, for music production. But I think I made $100 a week duplicating cassettes.
Okay.
But I could book the studio, and I got to keep 50% of it. So I hustled and beat the streets, and I cut my teeth learning how to record. And So it was so fun back then. There were a lot of people hanging around. It wasn't like it is now. To mix a song on the console, you needed 4 people to help push buttons, and there was no automation or anything.
Yeah.
And so, Chip would walk by or something and be like, hey, try this on the kick drum. It's like, well, how'd you do that? Just this EQ he did.
Like a move?
Well, just an EQ. He'd just EQ the kick.
Oh, okay.
And or it's like, man, I can't get this to sound right. And he goes, and it's like, oh, wow.
That's literally how I feel being in the studio with you.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from Greg, like for real. Greg, the man, auto moniker, this Kyle, he's here.
What's up?
Yeah. Yeah, he's here. Yeah. One thing I know about the early mixing days, like one thing I was talking about with 20,000 Hertz too, is like they have a lot of like video or like episodes on like older processes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And one of the coolest things I've learned is realized is that mixing, like back in the day on analog, or you can still do it today on analog, is like a performance itself. You know what I mean? You're moving
without
faders.
Automation, yeah.
Yeah, without automation, exactly. You're moving faders, and like you have like all the people at the console, and it's like, did we get it? Should we try again?
Right.
Or should we keep? And it's like a gamble.
Back then, it's like so we had a automated console. God, I can't remember what it was. Chip drove to St. Louis and bought this console. Golly, I can't remember what it was. My brain. Anyway, huge format console in the studio, and the faders moved, and you could turn sends on and off, but none of the knobs or EQs would move. So even running, and we ran to DAT tape when we'd print a mix, so we'd have everybody in there. It's like, okay, my buddy Ben Rice, he's out in LA. He did A Star Is Born. He produced all that music and works with Lady Gaga and all these people. But he was there, and Frank Pryor. Frank's got a studio in Texarkana area, and all of us were there together and kind of working together. And hey, when it gets to this section, secretary, push this button because we don't have enough hands. Everybody's pushing things, and then it was fun. It was a lot of camaraderie and recording back then. And I work completely by myself now, except for when I'm with a client. I mix and edit and all that. I have some people that help me sometimes.
Does it feel like lonely, for lack of a better word?
Sometimes, yeah. And it's good to have friends that you can shoot a mix over to and go, hey, what's up with this? And they're like, what about this and this?
Yeah.
Because you get stuck. You're so producing, so sitting down with the client and getting a vision for the project. And then recording it and playing on it, multiple instruments, and then mixing it and mastering it. It's a lot. You get stuck in it. Well, yeah, and I mean, it may last over a long period of time, but you get stuck in it and you can't see things sometimes. So it's always good to have other people who you can run things by.
Definitely, yeah. Because my friend Limbo, shout out to Limbo, we produced the track together at the beginning of 2022. Yeah, it's still 2023. I had to think about it for a second.
Yeah. I just did my taxes that need to be turned in. So
Holy shit.
Yeah, 2022 was last year.
Yeah, last year. Okay, 2022 was definitely. You said, "What up, Mr. White?"
What's up? It's been a while.
I know, right? Yeah, but he's been working on this album, and he keeps sending me mixes, and like there's even this like one thing he put like a tuner on, and he's like, dude, what's wrong with this? And I was like, I think your tuner's in the wrong key. So I had like a FaceTime or Discord, I don't remember what it was, but we did some video chat call, and he pulled the project up and we were like talking about it, and it's really cool. And he lives in Philadelphia, which is another cool thing about not Philadelphia, I was Pennsylvania, but not too far.
Close.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Yeah. But yeah, technology is crazy to be able to work like that. Like there's so many pros and cons for like both sides,
Yeah. So, well, in Pro Tools, I know you're a Logic guy, right?
I use FL.
FL Studio, yeah. You used to be Logic, right?
We used Logic a little bit.
You used to bring Logic to me, and I had to export the tracks into Pro Tools. I remember
yes, exactly. That was Ricky's computer. So I would Logic. We were doing a couple things in Logic, but mainly I would like make stuff in FL and then throw it into Logic, and then we make it and then throw it to you. Right. It's like
technology is just incredible. How you can in Pro Tools, there's this whole cloud system with all these people and this talent all over the world that you can just click on somebody and go, hey, would you play sitar in India, whatever your name is, on this track? Sure, no problem. You can click a button and it all kind of uploads to them. They can play on it, and it's just really incredible. And then I don't use that technology a lot. We use Dropbox, and so everything we record goes straight into Dropbox. It's on my computer at home. It's on a couple of other people's computers where they can edit for me, and it's just and it's nice because my hard drive just failed, so it's all backed up.
I've had that happen before. Yeah, I'll always back up your stuff. Yeah, I definitely have a backup, and then I upload everything to cloud.
Yeah, everything just goes into the cloud. I don't even do a redundant backup there because it's in the cloud. I haven't had any trouble in all these years yet.
Right. Just imagine
there's no wood.
I know, right? No,
back in the day, man. I remember the first project that I did 1 or 2 songs in Pro Tools, and then we did the rest all analog. I think we're on Tascam tape machines, digital tape machines, and I remember the client going, "Why didn't we do it all in Pro Tools?" I was like, I think that was the last project I did on a linear format. I did in Pro Tools. It was years and years ago.
That's so crazy.
So much faster and easier.
Yeah. So, are there still some clients coming in, asking to do analog? Do you direct?
Sometimes. My studio's not set up for that. I have the heavy analog front end with the console I have, but and the tape machine, when I got that console, it came from a national recording studio, Chuck Richardson in Texarkana, and so he retired and it sat in storage, and so he ended up giving me that console. Put a lot of money into it, and it means a lot to me, and so, but it had a 24 track machine. But the clientele I work with, they don't really care. It's there are people, welcome to 1979, that studio. Are you familiar with it in Nashville? You look them up. They've just got all old Myra machines. That's another place. He restores old tape machines. He owns Welcome to 1979. They bought a curly slide from McDonald's that went out of business that goes from their control room down to the recording space. Way. You can just hop in the slide and go down real quick.
That's really
amazing. Cool. Real old school studio,
No, I can imagine though being like having an epiphany on a mix. That's what I need to do.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Just hop in.
Efficiency.
Now if I'm at the studio by myself, I can take my iPad in there and I can control Pro Tools with it while I'm in the room playing and not even sitting in the control room.
That's so nice.
It's technology.
Yeah. It is. Did you ever see those mic stands that have adjustable electronic?
Here's something funny. Wow. So you remember Dustin Beasley?
Yes.
So Dustin and I actually came up with this idea because I'm super lazy of on a guitar amp, a microphone that would move because where the amps are, I think, in the back of the studio, and then I've got all the heads right there in the control room. So when I'm playing, the speakers are way on another part of the building.
Right.
And to move a microphone, and you have to a lot, especially when you have 2 of them. You're keeping them in phase, and you're trying to adjust them. You have to adjust them 25 times to get them just right. What if we had a robotic thing that would do this? So Dustin came up with this plan of a wire that ran with a joystick to move these microphones. And then he told me how much it was going to cost. I was like, I can't afford that, and it was just too much. And then Kickstarter, here comes these guys. I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
They're still expensive.
Yeah, they're still expensive.
And I still don't own them. I still go move the mics.
Yeah, exactly. With the flashlight.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Just see through the
the grill.
Yeah.
Is it a grill?
Yeah. The grill.
I was like, I don't know if I'm thinking car terminology or not. But
right. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, dude. I love that studio. Good times. Yeah, so I guess let's get back to your musical career. So what point between picking up the guitar and going to college did you decide you wanted to go into music? I knew I had aspirations of being a rock star in high school and played in bands all through, and only Christian bands. I grew up in church, and so I had Christian rock bands playing with different people and all this stuff. We lost our singer, so I started singing, and I used to have a video of that, and it was awful, but I developed over time. And, so from that point, going off to college after high school, I went to ETBU in Marshall, Texas. That's when I was like, this is what I want to do. And so I really followed friends there and a girlfriend. I had no right to be at my spot, and I go in and play my guitar and sing for them. They're like, they taught this, old church music, yeah, and so it was real staunch, and
you know, and nothing against that, but you know, it wasn't what I needed.
It wasn't the MTV.
Yeah, so I barely passed my classes. I may not have passed a couple. And I landed back at home, and my dad's like, "You're going to get a job, or you're going to go to school." You know, we've talked about this long ago. So, I went to the school and I signed up for a music theory class. I show up the first day, and it's the second semester.
Oh,
and so
they're already.
I knew a little bit, but not enough. Yeah, and so
by a little bit, what do you mean? Like you knew the chords?
Yeah, I could play guitar. I mean, I could play lead and all that stuff, but I really didn't know what I was doing. And so, you know, as far as being classically trained, as far as theory goes, and so.
Well, because I know like noticed a lot of guitar players nowadays. Like I've talked to a lot that don't even know what like notes they're playing. Like they know all numbers and tabs and stuff like that, and it kind of threw me off because like. You know, I went straight to chord charts. You know what I'm saying? So I know exactly. I pretty much know every note on the neck. So like when I went into trying to learn theory and kind of self teaching and still learning,
it's a lifetime study.
It's a lifetime study.
The more you learn, the more you know you don't know.
Yep, that's a bar.
Look at Noel Johnson. Look up Noel Johnson on social media. Okay. He's a wild guitar player. Mark Lettieri. I mean, there's just guys who are just beasts who just are amazing.
Oh yeah. So how were you introduced to like did you know the note, like you knew the notes on the neck? Is that like going
kind of I didn't really try. I learned how to play some chords and I started writing songs. I started performing and all of that, so no, I didn't really know a whole lot when I got to the college level. And so anyway, you know, second semester, this isn't for you. It's like, oh crap, what am I going to do?
Damn.
So I just dropped everything and landed back at home again. I didn't leave home yet. It's funny, my sister and I both landed at home at the same time.
And different happenstances.
Yeah, definitely. She went to UT and got her art degree, but so I worked for a print shop for I don't know some time there, and then I started my own home studio. Once my sister landed back too at the same time, my dad's like, y'all aren't living here. So I put a studio. I had a home studio as a kid. 4-track recorder. You know, we're talking as soon as the Tascams came out, I bought a 4-track recorder, mowed lawns till I could get it. Then I had an 8-track Tascam. I was like, we're talking about cassette recording. Yeah. And then, you know, moving up from there.
So were you writing songs?
Yeah, writing songs and recording.
Like just guitar, singer-songwriter stuff?
Had some friends coming over, bringing drum sets. My parents were so supportive. Like we had this big giant shed, and half of it he turned kind of into a studio.
Okay.
And we'd beg and borrow things, you know, from the church and from friends, and you know, to be able to record and do whatever.
That's so cool. Do you have any of those old recordings?
Not that old, I don't think.
Oh man, you know,
I have some from college that were real early.
Yeah, you know. I'd love to hear all that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's one on YouTube actually.
Okay.
It was the first thing I did when I got to Nashville. We formed a band and got into a showcase there at the school. You know,
that's dope.
So on a 4-track recorder, drums, full band thing, we recorded.
That's so cool. Like, yeah, because just that ambition is really cool to see.
Well, it's just the love of it. Yeah, we weren't doing it for any reason. We were doing it because we loved it.
Just to capture a moment in time. Same reason you take a picture of going.
Exactly. Yeah. My roommate could sing, and he wrote a cool song, and
let's record it.
Put it together. Yeah. Hey, you play drums and you play bass. Let's do it.
That's so awesome. So like, is it like automatic transmission or radios and cards? It will be the standard for robotic mics one day.
Oh yeah. I would think so. It would be nice. I'm lazy.
Yeah, definitely. I am too. Like I'm guilty of it. Right. But yeah. So you got your recorder, and then eventually you built the home studio. Like,
oh yeah. So fast forward to going to college for one semester and doing very poorly. Coming back to Texarkana, and my dad buys this house. He's like, y'all aren't living with us. So my sister and I were roommates. There's this old garage apartment, so we built a studio in it. Okay. Sometime down the road prior to that, when I was in high school, possibly, I can't remember the time frame. I think I was in high school. I had gotten a 8-track reel-to-reel Tascam, and so it's like real professional recording, you know. And so I had a studio there and worked there, and I had my main client, my main bread and butter. Now in this time period, I was working at the college. As a lab monitor in the recording studio.
What did that entail? Like,
Well, I was just telling my parents earlier, like I got caught with a girl in the office late at night while somebody was recording and got fired and then rehired back the next day. So Dr. Elewine, he was a huge influence on me too. And he's probably passed away now. But he was the head of the music department at Texarkana College.
Wow.
So I forgot where are we?
Yeah, you started building your home studio.
Oh yeah, so garage apartment studio. I had a client that did. You know who Tom Bodette is? You probably don't. Motel 6 commercials. We'll leave the light on for you.
Oh really?
The old commercials, which Milo Deering,
like the voice actor guy.
Yeah. Well, I didn't work with him. I worked with the guy who copied him.
Oh,
he was Tom Boget. So I mean, I was moving up in my career.
Wow.
But the real Motel 6 commercial, Milo Deering did that. So,
really?
Yeah, who played on your stuff?
No way.
Yeah, he wrote all that.
I can't believe that. It's crazy.
So I keep losing.
How Marty say, "Caught with a girl, my man."
Oh, that didn't work out. I did get hired back, thankfully. So.
Hey.
Moving through that era, I had that guy, and he got stolen away to this other studio. And a friend of mine worked at that studio. His name was Chris, and he's like, "Man, just come over there and intern for a week, and you'll get a job." And so I did, and so that was Smart Productions. Started working there, and
it's okay.
Came up through there, and I went to Nashville and went out on the road for a couple of years, and then I went back and managed Smart for quite a few years before moving here.
So you had you said you had a main client in your home studio though?
Yeah, my little home studio.
And so you were working at both, like I
was working at the college and at home, but they stole that client because they had a way better studio. They had 16-track reel to reel. I only had 8.
Shit. That's double.
And I'd like a look that is double. So it goes to 11.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So I thought, man, I'll never need more tracks than 16 tracks.
For 16, yeah.
That's a huge amount. I'm recording full band stuff on this.
Yeah.
And so
that's like at least 2 double guitar tracking and drums and vocals.
So really back then to get into a 24-track recorder, I mean, it was impossible at that level. So you had to be in a professional studio to do that, and everything was so expensive back then.
So did your client being stolen, did that lead to the demise of your home studio in a way? Or
so my philosophy always was, and maybe it wasn't good because I would have a lot of cool gear now if I hadn't have lived by this motto. It's like, we've got it at this studio. Why do I need it? And so I just kind of abandoned that and always just used the studio. And Chip was pretty good about getting some cool stuff. And later on when I managed the place, we'd have to beg, like, "Oh, we want to get this. Come on." He's like, "Well, y'all better work hard and bring in some more money.
Yeah,
we can look at getting a new compressor or whatever it was."
You said was this in Nashville or
in Texarkana?
Texarkana, okay.
Yeah. So the time frame was grew up in Texarkana, all the music stuff. Then went to went to Texarkana College, got an associate's degree in music, and then went to Nashville. And tried to stay in college my whole life. And finally, my parents were like, "No." It's like, "Oh wait, I'll get my master's." They're like, "We're not paying for that." So, and then I went on the road for 2 years playing in a country band. That was the adventure that Paul Hatton was like, "Hey, you want to have an adventure?" Okay. And boy, was it. And he's like, "If you think of it as an adventure, you'll never get mad. Like when you're in Colorado, it's the middle of winter and somebody breaks a window out of the van. So we all bought sleeping bags and rode in sleeping bags."
Wow. That's crazy.
So shout out to
you mean like they broke your window? Were your stuff stolen?
No, somebody in the van acting stupid.
Okay.
We were stupid.
So you were in sleeping bags?
We were out of control. That was the problem. They were bad. All I had to do was stand on stage for a couple hours a night, and that was it. And they dropped some,
Yeah.
And so we were having fun.
That's great. For 2 years straight?
Yeah, 2 years, 6 weeks out, 1 week home.
Wow.
So, and I still had my apartment in Nashville during that time. And so I actually went back to Nashville for a short period of time after that. And it was just so different, I had some friends still in college, and I worked at a place that made drummer's chimes, Treeworks chimes. Okay. Shout out to Mitch. Hey. He's still doing it. He's got chimes all over the world.
That's awesome. So you had the home studio. Like, what did you end up doing with all that gear?
Oh, I have a couple of guitar pedals from when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
A chorus pedal and they're both DOD pedals. That's
I don't even know what a DOD pedal is.
Really?
Yeah, no. I was never really a guitar guy. Like, I still rock a Squire.
right. Well, that's how I feel now. People are like, "Hey, what kind of wood is that on your acoustic?" I'm like, "I don't know."
I'm like,
I've got two of the same acoustic with different wood, and they sound different. I know that.
Yeah. Well, you just change the strings; it'll sound different, though.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
There's so many parts
Yeah.
to it.
Definitely.
Like, does it stay in tune? And does it play the notes?
Right.
That's really all I can.
Have you seen? I don't know the product, but it's a gel thing that you stick under the bridge, and it deadens the guitar down when you play it. It sounds awesome.
I've seen them, but I didn't know what they were for, like what they were.
Yeah, you know, dead snare is so popular. Just like, and Josh is really good at this. He's got all these bandanas and stuff we put on the drums and get that sound, you know. And so it crosses every genre. That dead snare sound that's been so popular.
Is that like something that was like popular before that came back? Or is that just like,
I don't recall, possibly.
It's just something that you came across, like.
Well, it's not me. I mean, it's just.
Or Josh.
It's in not Josh. It just happened. I don't know. Yeah. Probably Matt Chamberlain came up with it.
Okay.
You know? He's a super famous drummer.
Yeah.
Plays with everybody.
It's really cool. So like it works across like multiple genres.
Yeah, you hear it in lots of genres. Dead snare. It's just it's instead of like boom, boom. It's just. Duh.
Okay, so it doesn't like ring out.
Exactly,
okay.
Yeah. And so you can they make bandana, they're made out of bandanas, but it's a ring you put on top of the drum.
Okay.
You put it on the toms and everything.
Wow, that's cool.
And so it's just, they don't ring out. It's just a cool, different sound.
That's so cool. It's really cool, like, because you think like everything's been invented or everything's been innovated to the max, you know what I mean, until people come along and do something new, you know? Like, I always used to kind of compare everything to like skateboarding, because like, every rotation on a skateboard has a name. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like you can't invent anything new, and then all of a sudden I'm on Instagram and I see some dude do something I've never seen before, and I'm like, "What you even call that?"
Right, exactly.
You know, so like,
there's so many things, even just for the drum kit, that Josh brings in these things, and it's like, "What is that? I love that." You know, there's these little flappy things that drummers might make fun of me, but these little flappy things that. Sit on all the toms, and you can adjust them for how much you want it to deaden the tom or let it ring, and it just it creates a lot of ease for us. If a tom's ringing out too long or something, I'm like, "Hey, that's ringing too long." He's like, whoop, 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 boom. Perfect.
Nice.
Don't have to retune the whole thing and spend 20 or 30 minutes working on it. You know?
Or no like pointless noise gate or
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Yeah. I love stuff like that. So yeah, let's talk more about your adventure.
I keep getting off track.
No, that's what this is for. No, like
so I gotta have another shout out. So Ace Craw was the band leader. He was the singer. One of my dear friends, I still talk to him all the time. Paul Holder played drums. And Paul Hatton from when I was a kid. Paul's the one that's like, "Hey, you want an adventure?"
Okay. You said he played bass?
He played bass, but he's a fantastic guitar player. But he's a great bass player too. Completely two different instruments. He played bass like a bass player and guitar like a guitar player. And so, shout out to Ace, because he's got Cooking with Cry. So he met a girl out in Arizona while we were on the road, and they're married now, and he ran a restaurant out there, and I think COVID shut it down. And so he started this Cooking with Cry YouTube show, and we did the theme song to it.
Oh, nice.
And it's cooking like weird creatures.
Okay.
So he was talking about out there, you can't get a squirrel. He's in, I can't remember where he's at. Pretty far, close to California, Yuma, Arizona.
Okay.
No squirrels in Yuma.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's like $300 to get a squirrel shipped out here to cook.
Holy shit.
You know? And then armadillo is like $700 to get an armadillo. So he's cooking all these weird things, you know, like the dudes with the beards. What are their names? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Robinsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, so does he still do music?
I think he does a little bit. You know, we did like top 40 country, so we tried to stay up on it, and tried to always learn some new stuff. And we did some old stuff, and but he did this Elvis show. I've never had more fun in my life playing music.
Interesting.
I've seen his pants get ripped off. It's happened twice, but I only saw it once. And he didn't wear underwear.
Holy shit! Was it like crowd members, like?
Yeah, I mean, women go crazy. It's weird. I remember going to a Beatles tribute show in Texarkana at the Perot Theater, and the woman next to me just crying and freaking out. And I didn't understand it at the time.
Band?
Yeah, it's just a tribute band, and she was having memories of seeing the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
And so people would lose their minds. He was a good Elvis. I mean, he's been in movies and stuff, but we primarily did country. But the Elvis show was a up thing, and we played casinos and stuff.
Okay.
That music's so fun to play of that era that he did. It's like upbeat and fun and fast, and you got James Burton on guitar, and you get to play that stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. So you're like doing rhythm guitar or
lead guitar?
Lead guitar, nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like those old Elvis tracks are definitely slapping. Because of course they're influenced by like Rosetta Tharpe,
blues,
and just like all that blues.
Rosetta Tharpe's amazing.
Yeah, dude. Like if you and I feel like everybody's probably heard the original Hound Dog. I haven't seen the movie yet, the Elvis movie yet. I'm assuming there's something about it in there.
I think I saw it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But
movies just go in and out, because
Yeah, but check that shit out.
Yeah, definitely.
She's incredible. I just watched this documentary on Ella Fitzgerald too, which is like someone I'm so familiar with as far as like her music. Like I just know it like the back of my hand, and just like love listening to her. But like I never really knew anything about her as a person, so it was really cool to like learn.
So what about my favorite track she ever did was Mac the Knife live from Berlin. Mm-hmm. You heard it?
Is that the one where she did the? No, I don't think
she messes up all the lyrics and forgets them.
No, I haven't. No, I have not heard that.
She just starts making up lyrics. They're hilarious, and then she just starts scatting, and like just her tone is so amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing about the scatting. There like when she was touring with the band, like they stopped calling her the singer of the band. They called her like a band member, which is different. Oh, yeah. Like they're like, no, she's a musician. Right. Like she doesn't have anything in her hands, but she's a musician. Yeah. And like there was a moment where Mac the Knife, you already know. Like there was a moment where she did like a 5-minute scat solo, and she quoted over like 40 jazz songs, like 40, like classic, what are they called? Standards, Yeah. And it's just incredible to not only be able to do that, like in key, like change the key on the fly with the band, like listen to the band and follow with them, and remember that many to even quote, and then connect them all in a way that makes sense. Like she's just next level.
So on the Mac the Knife song, the end of it, she's like, "We're making a wreck. What a wreck of Mac the Knife," because she forgot all the lyrics. And she's just coming up with stuff and making up lyrics. It's amazing.
And just addressed it, like right.
And just did it right then.
That's
the passion in her voice is the ticket. Yep. I mean, her technical ability is so incredible, but you can feel the hurt when it's that kind of song, and you can feel the joy, and it's just amazing what comes out of her.
Oh, most definitely, and just pitch perfect. Like back then, like. It's incredible, and like I remember, like the documentary like opens with like a 100-year-old woman who saw her perform as a 16-year-old.
Oh wow!
Like when she got found, right? And she's like, we didn't know who this girl was. Like, can you believe we booed Ella Fitzgerald?
Right.
They booed her on her way out, and then by the end of it, standing ovation.
That's awesome.
So just like it's incredible to see that, like and it's another thing about like looks today. Like so much of modern entertainment. Not just music, but modern entertainment is just all about looks, and
it really is.
The marketing the person,
the persona,
the person, the looks, everything that goes into it. It's a visual, sound, everything, So
I'll talk about that. It is the entertainment business, but so there's two different, and I know we've talked about this in the past. If I had a piece of paper, I could do it. But everybody knows
I can get a piece of paper.
Give me a piece of paper.
Hold up. I just dropped my pen earlier too.
I dropped my cap, so I'm gonna.
Hold up. I'm gonna get that piece of paper.
Thank you. I feel so lonesome with people right here. She was an inspirational woman.
Yo, we got paper
and a pen. I see a pen.
That's a silver one. I'm gonna have you sign the table at the end.
Oh, okay.
But I got a pen.
All this for this little thing I'm gonna show
I love stuff like this. See, okay, let me tell you something. Every time I go to SG Studios to record something, me and Greg always go off on these, go off topic on these long rabbit hole conversations.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Greg always pulls out a piece of paper and a pen.
I gotta draw something. So I don't know, how would I show that? Where's the camera?
Camera's right here.
Can y'all see? I got you. See that?
Let me pull up the OBS so you can see what we're seeing. Here we go.
I don't know if they can see that. Oh, look at that. Kind of.
Here I
Oh,
go. Oh,
it's backwards.
Oh, let me see.
No, wait, no, not the paper. But when you moved it, it was went the wrong way to me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's
delayed
on a delay too. Nice. So you got art and money. It's a Venn diagram. So you can think about what's marketable, and a part of my job as a producer is to help people be financially successful in the business. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of emphasis put on that. So yeah,
you want to be somewhere in there.
If you want to make money, yeah. You want to be true to yourself, but you don't want to ostracize people if you want to make money. Mm-hmm. If you want to just create art, and we do make music for ourselves or for God or whatever, I would say most people, even some of the lower echelon of, I have to be careful with my words here, people who don't seem very in depth with their music, mm-hmm. who are hugely famous, they've got to have a passion and a love for mm-hmm. it, or they wouldn't do it. So you gotta find that place of where you're doing it for yourself, but then put yourself in a place where you can make money too, if that's your goal, or just be yourself and be famous after you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that you're not being yourself in the other way. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's bars though, for real.
So
it's Bobby Darin, Frank Sinatra. He's like quoting it in the back of the knife now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean those dudes didn't get into it for anything. But they love to sing.
Yeah, because Sinatra started with Dorsey, mm-hmm. and the singer wasn't like the front. It was like that's the singer, that's part of the band. Here's
the band leader was the front.
The band leader was the front, exactly.
The orchestra director.
Frankie was like one of the first people that I guess corporate people saw like, we can market this guy because women like him, and that was kind of the beginning of what pop music is today. I'm sure,
there
might be some examples before that too, but
possibly, yeah. Think about I almost said Leadbelly, probably not, but Robert Johnson or something, being kind of a ladies' man and in the clubs, and I'm sure that was a thing back then too. Mm-hmm. There's a sex appeal.
Or promoters, promoters are gonna they'll bring you to the club to play, or whatever they're called back then. Are they called promoters? I don't know, but come to my bar and play.
The guy who has money.
The guy who has money. Come to my place, play, because that'll bring more people.
I'll give you $20 and a fifth of whiskey.
Yeah.
Send you on your way.
And that guy wants to buy all your songs for 25 cents.
Right, exactly. And you're happy to take it because you're hungry.
I could talk about the genesis of pop music all day, for real. And like you said, like artists that aren't as in depth, which I guess is a good way to explain it, but definitely, I've learned that there's always something within a song or an artist that's I guess merit, that has merit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's and going from a staunch punk, being anything that's not punk isn't real music.
Right, sure.
I used to think that a keyboard in a band made it a lesser band.
I'm with you. I've wore many leashes like that.
Right.
That's exactly what they are. Is we wear all these leashes that hold us back.
Yep.
I still do it. I try not to.
Yeah. So listening to pop production and getting into even Max Martin and stuff like that. It's they're what is it that these dudes do so well? Where in the sometimes a production trick, sometimes it's just the voice of the pop singer themselves. Mm-hmm. There's always one main factor that's usually the thing they market the most. Marilyn Manson, being just.
That's one of my super pleasures of some of his stuff. But some of it goes a little against what I believe. In my spiritual beliefs, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine because I love the way it sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
The beautiful people, golly, it's just that production is incredible. Mm-hmm. Some early Metallica stuff just blows me away. Of the way it sounds and the way it makes me feel. And
I heard that I feel like it was Metallica. I'm wrong. Metal's not my lane at all. But I thought I heard something one of the Metallica records does not have a bass on it. They just have a baritone guitar or a tuned lower guitar or something.
Paul Holder could answer that.
I heard that. I don't know.
I don't know. I do know that Prince had that whole situation with Kiss,
What's
this story?
No.
So Prince in the studio, they'd recorded the Kiss, the song about Prince. Mm-hmm. So he's sitting there listening to the mix, and he's like, "It's not right." He reached up and he muted the bass, and that song does not have a bass guitar in it. To be a funk song, no bass.
A funk song and nobody slapping the bass.
What is this world?
Hold up, Prince did what? Prince can make anything work. That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Have you seen him do it? It's really old now, but I found it probably a couple of years ago. Him playing Cream acoustic just by himself.
No.
He commands this whole audience just acoustic, and he's such a fine guitar player. Or was, I guess, the correct term.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. Like,
are we off the rails?
Yeah, we are definitely off the rails. But this talk, this is like what I talk about. Why I go to SU Studios, because we always go off on something like this. Like we were talking about a mix or something that reminds us of something, and then we just go on down these rabbit trails. I remember pulling up like YouTube videos of like watching the water split.
Yeah, I show that to a lot of people.
Incredible.
I have this kind of class in mind, a critical listening class, and how music works and how the universe was created, and the Overtone series and how sound works in the universe. And I'm trying to put this together right now to do just a hangout class for a couple of reasons.
I'm already sold.
Yeah,
I just love stuff like that.
I just like nerding out on it, and so I need an audience because my wife gets tired of me talking about it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, she loves it.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I'm the same way too. Like it's not even just my wife; it's everybody around me.
The German augmented six, guys. Like, get away from me.
I don't go that deep, but I definitely like talking about like sounds and how they combine.
Right? Yeah.
Like when I first got into making music, like being a guitar player, like I wanted to be a rhythm guitar player. I was like, I had no desire to play lead. I had no desire to even be like the front man. Yeah, I can play lead now, like just because I got into like Dinosaur Jr. and shit. Right. But if it wasn't for Dinosaur Jr., I would never have learned how to do a solo.
Probably a lot of people.
But I just really, for me, it was about the chords, like because punk rock, you have power chords. Mm-hmm. It's only 2 notes, right? So eventually, I learned major chords, minor chords, and then even
I think I remember this journey. This is since I've known you, right?
Basically, yeah. So
I just remember you coming in and you were pretty good. And then you came in again. It's like, whoa! You came in again, and then you're creating some really good parts.
Yeah,
and writing fine parts on the guitar.
I think there's one instance that you could probably point to because I didn't really try before we recorded the song Dwayne Johnson. I don't know if you remember that one, but you probably don't remember that one.
I remember the name. And if I heard it, I would remember.
Well, the end has a long ass solo, and I knew I was gonna record this. Go to your studio, record this. So, for like, I want to say 3 months, I had a loop on my pedal of the last chord progression, which is 2 chord progressions, and a little break between. And I did the solo every day, for like an hour. I did it over and over and over again because I wanted to nail it in the studio. I wanted to impress you. I was like,
not me. You need to impress. I don't buy records.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, but dude, I already knew that. Like, I was like, wait till Greg sees this. I'm so badass. Like, I knew you'd say something. I'm pretty sure that's what you're pointing to. Is like, it wasn't like, because I definitely wasn't like trying to get better up until that point. Because it wasn't like 2017, 2018. I released that song. So like 2017 before I learned chords and I learned more chords, but that was really it. It was just like, that's how I write songs. But now, then there was that moment that I was like, I want to get better at lead, and then I wrote Dwayne Johnson, and then I every day for like a long time. And I came to the studio. I think I did it in like, I don't know, 5-6 takes still. It wasn't a one take. I wanted it to be.
Well, sure, we all do. When I create parts playing guitar in the studio, I spend a lot of time. And so I'm truly just creating there. Mm-hmm. But most of my projects aren't hourly based. They're contract based. So, I'll spend as much time as it takes to create a part for the intro until it's done. And I love that process. And I think it's, instead of just kind of going through the song and getting it down real quick, there are a few guitar players I do like who can do that really quickly and come up with something above my expectation. But I think just the part is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's not how fast you can play or how, you know, you don't need this crazy guitar part in most songs. You might need it for a second and then it's gone. Mm-hmm. But what serves the song the best, you know? Yeah,
what serves the song the best, definitely. Yeah. That's what always got me into it, because also like video games are huge a part of where my musical journey,
music culture, definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like just like from like the classical kind of stuff, but also like licensed tracks that were like in racing games or basketball games or whatever. Yeah. You know, like you hear a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? It was impossible to stay in one genre.
How many times do you hear it?
Like,
you have it memorized by the time you've mastered the game.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and Automata could know every word to every track to those tracks. But, yeah, it's incredible.
It was Dove's Cry. Thank you.
Dove's Cry.
I told you the wrong song.
You got rid of the bass. Okay, well, yeah. Thanks for the fact checking on Automata.
Thank you.
We'll put an asterisk on the YouTube video. We'll link the description. We hit the hour mark. So we're gonna take our first break. I'm gonna run an advertisement. So stick around. We'll be right back with Greg. We'll get back to talking about Greg and not talking about other artists and stuff. And then we'll go down another rabbit hole like we normally do. And I might even pull up that video about the water and the overtone system, which is so interesting to me, and I'd love to make like to talk about that and
awesome.
make a little content out of that. So yeah, be right back. And we're back with Greg. What the hell are heaters, dude? Ripping heaters. I think it's cigarettes. I'm pretty sure.
Cigarettes. Well, I quit for a long time.
I say that every time.
And I suffer. Well, I really did. I went to Egypt in 2021. I think the end of 2021. I quit right before. No, I quit halfway through Egypt. Didn't smoke for a long time.
Did Egypt have bad cigarettes or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's not worth it.
They were pretty rough. But yeah, so I suffer from a bit of anxiety. So recently, I've been smoking. I'm trying not to.
Every time.
Sorry, Erica. I love you.
But he always knocks the smoking time off the session every time we work.
Really,
he's cool like that.
I'm not smoking that much.
Yeah.
So nowadays, it's just like I have a couple here and there because I just get anxious when my child's car dies. And the AC goes out 2 times in a row at the studio, and it's just
2 times in a row,
needing money.
I can imagine, dude. That's stressful shit, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. We all encourage you to stop smoking. We actually got this podcast together today, so that.
I knew it.
No. But let's get back to adventures. I want to talk about the adventure because that sounds like there might be some.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you're willing to talk about. What's the craziest thing that happened?
I don't know if we should talk about any of that.
Well, okay. Whatever you're cool with talking about.
There are some wild times. I do remember.
Give us one cool story.
Okay. I remember being in a hotel room in sorry, Paul and Paul. In New Mexico. Where were we? Santa Fe, New Mexico. My watch just. Oh my wife. So we had a guy named Elvis in there.
Like literally named Elvis?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, his real name was Elvis. He was a Hispanic guy. And the club was called Rodeo Nights in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And there's a hotel right next door, and we stayed there. And we usually played a week at a time at a place.
Okay.
And so we're in there and doing stupid stuff. And we're smoking a bunch of pot. Sorry, Paul and Paul. Hope your parents don't watch this. I'm sure they don't. So anyway, they come and knock on the door. We hear this knock, and one of the Pauls answers and is like, "Oh, we're so sorry. We'll keep it down." There's a couple of German guys in there that didn't speak English. It was a weird vibe. There was a bunch of people. There was like 25 people in our hotel room.
Holy shit!
And girls, guys, all these people we met, or maybe they just showed up. I don't remember. And so, this knock at the door, and it's like, "Oh man, sorry. We'll keep it down." He's like, "I can smell that." And so one of the Pauls was like, oh, I'm sorry, we'll put it out. And he's like, no. And he's like, oh, you want some? Oh, yeah, come on in. It's a hotel manager, you know.
That's hilarious.
We did have a guy who had a cult in Santa Fe, not the same trip.
What?
Who tried to get us to join his cult. And so the rule with these stories is there should be two of us together at one time, but you can fact check this with Paul Holder or Paul Hatton. They will let you know. So this guy approached us at the gig and was like, "Hey, come back to the room." Lured us back, you know, with things we thought were good at the time. Mm-hmm. And so we go over and he's like, "How would you like to just play and not ever have to worry about money again?" And so, you know, Paul Hatton's like, "How much you gonna pay us?" And so me and the other Paul are freaking out a little bit, you know, and it's so
like freaking out in a good way, like, oh, this opportunity, or freaking out like this guy,
freaking out like we're scared of this guy a little bit. And so, but Paul Hatton, if you knew him, he just keeps egging him on, like, you know. And so he tells us his whole plan, and then I don't know, it's probably 8-9 years ago. Paul Hatton, who's in Houston, sends a picture of this dude. He's in prison. He got it going and got in trouble with tax and some children and some stuff like that. And so it comes to all of us. And so generally stories like this are reserved for when two are together. But you know, that was another part of my life. I mean, I don't live that way anymore. And I don't necessarily regret it, but it wasn't honoring to what I try to live by now.
Right.
You know.
That's cool, but that's what college is for, right? Or post-college?
Yeah, this was post-college. this was the end of my later stupidity.
Oh, yeah. So, like, you got that opportunity to go on an adventure, and it's like, yo, come with me. Like, that lasted for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And then, so what happened after that, like, music and your music journey?
So, we were back in Texarkana, and we'd always... So we're out for 6 weeks, and then we're home for a week, and me and Paul Hatton, we just fished at his grandparents' place.
Ty, what's up, man? Thank you for the affiliate anniversary. I forgot that did happen.
Oh, nice.
I've been affiliate for, 2 years now? Something like that.
Oh, wow.
Which basically means Twitch pays me. Yeah.
All right.
So, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for the party hat. Sorry. Continue.
So we just sat down and hung out and fished and went to the bar. And we had just a week of vacation, and then we'd go back out again.
Okay. So, 2 years, and then you... had a week of vacation.
Yeah, at the end. Well, we had a week every 6 weeks during that 2 years. And the studio I used to work for, Smart Productions, had moved and was out on some land and had a studio behind his house. And he's like, "Why don't you come run this place for me?" Okay. And so we worked it all out.
So that's the first studio you actually ran?
No, I worked at that studio before that, and then I owned my own studio, and you know, worked in the college studio and all that. But when I was in Nashville, I was in the studio a lot playing at school, but I didn't want to be an audio engineer. I was running away from that, and running away from that musical journey. You know, I was hanging on. I think I got into playing guitar professionally to be validated.
Oh, okay.
So people would think I was good.
Okay.
It was the wrong reason to get into it, you know. But yeah, that's probably why I got it.
Okay. So were you trying to tour bands for as long as you could?
No, it just kind of happened, you know. Like later on, it's like I produce a record, and it's like I go out and play with them. Jamie Richards was one. I played with him for a year or two, maybe longer off and on. And so that was primarily Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, sometimes just Friday, Saturdays, but all over Texas and in a bus and, you know, running around playing honky-tonk music. You know, so that was my first real all original country gig. Okay. We played a 90-minute set, and that was it. And sometimes we're like, let's do another. They want another, and Jamie's like, I'm done for the night. Leave him wanting more. He's a smart man. Yeah. So sometimes we do it, sometimes we wouldn't. Got great opportunities playing with Jamie. Opened up for Charlie Daniels' band.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing, yeah. Getting to see him and. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I mean, just huge venues and little places, and you know, all sorts of stuff.
That's really cool.
Big crowds, little crowds, all of it.
And everybody just enjoying it.
Yeah, for the most part. And you know, I had a child at home, so I started doing this in Texarkana. I still managed that studio. I was going on the road with Jamie, and all this when Simon was a baby.
Wow. And so this is before you went to Nashville? Or when you got back?
No, after Nashville.
Okay, when you got back.
Yeah, okay. So I I went on the road with Ace, and then I started working at Smart Productions.
Okay.
And worked there for about 6 or 7 years. And I got the gig to do Jamie Richards.
You had Simon somewhere.
In that time period,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, so he's...
So you were gigging, running a studio, and then you had a kid.
Yeah.
So how much, like, Simon's your first kid, right?
Yeah.
Is he your only kid?
Well,
yeah.
I have 8 more now, so...
Oh, yeah. That's
not
true.
marriage.
That's crazy. So that must be a change. How much did Simon being born change, like, your musical journey?
I'm not sure. I think it made me think of things way differently. Becoming a father or a parent, period, man, just changes your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still gone a lot. I mean, I'm in an industry where you're expected to work all the time. And so I wouldn't say I was still cutting my teeth because I was the manager of a studio. We had a pretty large staff. I don't think I worked as much at night anymore. Before that, even when I was married, I work all day and into the night at the studio and then come home and keep working because it was my responsibility to make sure that studio made money. And so I was working on advertising and stuff at home afterwards. And,
so, like, you know, going from, like, the crazy, you know, tours where all the crazy shit was happening and, like, doing the stuff you shouldn't be doing into, like, running the studio, like, was Simon, like, a part of, like, you settling down or, like, kind of a calming down?
And just age, too. I didn't.
okay.
I think I got married when I was 29.
Okay.
Or maybe 30. I can't remember.
Forget
so I waited. I lived my life, my musical journey, so the best I could. And so, yeah, but you settle down when you get married and you chill out. And I settled into the studio a lot more and quit playing live as much.
Okay, so it was like less of a conscious thing? Like you didn't decide?
Yeah, it just kind of happened. What actually happens, I found my true passion.
Which was producing, right?
Yeah, producing. I mean, that's what I feel like I was created to do. And so settling into that and owning that and developing those skills and, you know, just becoming a student of music more. And not in the classical sense of sitting down and learning, but listening and having an open ear and hearing things and going, oh, I like that. And what if I use that in this context? And that started to develop at that time.
So, like, it seems like production was always trying to pull you to it.
I always did it, but I was running away from it because I wanted to be a rock star. I mean, that's probably the real truth. You know, so.
It's cool like that you actually discovered it instead of like you see like stories of people like losing it, like rock stars like fading into the background or whatever, and you know, getting on drugs and all that kind of stuff, and like they don't want to have any other musical journey. Like, they refuse to accept any other musical...
Well, and that's the path I went down. You know, that became my path, and it wasn't a good path. It was hard. It hurt. Like, it hurt your body. And I remember my sister saying when she was getting her undergraduate degree at UT that all these people smoke weed, and that's their creativity. She's like, I don't want that to hinder my art. I want my art to be from my brain, and I was the opposite.
So you were trying to smoke to be creative?
Well, and drink, and sure.
Yeah, I can see. I remember when I first started smoking weed, I definitely thought that I was more creative, but I think I was just more high. You know?
Possibly. I remember in college having these long jams with my band.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, we had this little, they had a cassette player and a little black and white TV in it, this little box, and we'd record our rehearsals. I actually do still have some of those. It's just like an hour of A minor jam, you know, and, you know.
That's cool.
It's just, it's redundant.
Yeah, it is. Like, cause like, you know, like when I started smoking weed, it was like, it's like I wasn't playing to get better. I was playing just to like do the weirdest thing I could. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a productive way. You know what I'm saying? We would do jam sessions and jam band kind of stuff, but I wasn't like actually doing anything to get myself better. You know what I mean? And you know, over the years, you know, I still smoke weed every day. You already know that, but like, it's part of my persona.
It's who I am.
That's my market. No, I don't know. But yeah, like I smoke significantly less than I used to, and there will be times that like I'll forget to smoke. Like, oh, I haven't smoked today. It's because like I'm in it. Like I'm getting high off making the music or whatever I'm doing, or playing video games even. You know.
Yeah, I found that it was my master, and I served it. And that was a problem. And so once I realized that and what was going on for me, this is not everybody's journey, it's my journey. And so cutting that out was not hard. And drinking, I think I just did that because everybody else was,
Yeah.
And
that's definitely more a social thing. Well, they're both social.
Yeah, social gets out of control quickly, especially when you're in that environment and that's what you're kind of expected to do. And so I knew going on the road was not good for me. And so then learning, my spiritual journey of following Christ has taught me most recently that creativity, I believe, is from Him. Like God created everything, in my opinion. The whole universe and everything in it, and music, and if I can focus on it, I can reach up and grab these things and bring them into being here, And
right.
so that's my true path of trying to focus for my clients and to do these things for them.
Yeah.
No matter what their beliefs are or anything, it's not about that.
Because you already know I'm a straight up atheist.
I know. Yeah.
So
we've had these conversations before.
But it's still like I completely agree with you because it's like it's an otherworldly thing. It's something exactly. Songs don't exist, and then they come out of you, and then they're here now. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be here forever. Even if no one remembers it, even if it gets lost to time, it still existed.
Correct.
And just like every human on this planet that's ever passed through this planet, that left a footprint, it still existed, and it still came from the universe to exist in this moment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I feel like it's everywhere, and then there's also discipline is something I'm learning a lot about, and I'm not very disciplined as a human. We try to live on a rigid schedule of, I live in Arizona 1 week and then Texas 1 week back and forth. So I record heavy here, mix and edit there, back and forth. And so fly 2,000 miles a week. And so it's, I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, you're good, dude. But pulling from the
going?
Universe.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's like
I'm getting old.
This is what we do. This is literally what we do in the studio.
This happens a lot in the studio.
Yeah. But,
it's a matter of really just trying to focus and create, and why are we doing this? I mean, why do we do it? We do it because we love it and we want to create. If you're a creator, you're a certain type of person. And I just saw a Lionel Richie thing, and he was going. And there's like, what's a songwriter? He's like, do you hear my hand tapping the table? Or do you hear a melody? If you hear a melody, you're a songwriter.
Yeah, that's so true.
Really? It's true. And you're probably sitting here going,
yo,
in
there was
brain,
like this click. We were at the gas station, and there was this clicking. It was like going not really just that, but like it was going like and I started going
yeah.
Then I started going right, and then I started going like 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then I started doing like a quintuplet swing thing with like 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5
awesome.
1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3, and I was like, I wonder how many beats I can get on this one little
exactly.
pattern that's just happening at the gas station.
Yeah.
That's been like my brain since like high school. I feel like I'm sorry to everyone that went to high school with me. I was like the pimp.
Me too. I used to get in trouble with my ex-wife for tapping on the headboard at night. And I did that. My mom told me I did that since I was little. I was always tapping on something. It's because I heard music all the time.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It just exists. Like if I'm not actually listening to it, then it's gonna come to me anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
My day job. We don't talk about my day job usually, but I like to bring it up at this point because when people find out I'm a musician, I go, yeah, I know what every surface in this building sounds like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
I know my favorite places to beat on.
The metal table, all of it.
The doors, every surface. I know what they all sound like, and I know where my favorite places to hit are.
Which, speaking of, so it brings me to two things. So I do most of my shopping for the studio at Sam's because they deliver. So I get this big coffee can of their kind of coffee. It's a metal coffee can.
Oh, yep.
So we finished the coffee can. I'm like, about to throw it away. I'm like, nope, that's a new you've seen my percussion stash.
Yes.
And so it almost immediately it ended up on a record. And I ended up giving it to Josh. And it's like, I want this coffee can vibe. And so he sat in there with a pen for a little bit. And he ended up creating this thing where he kind of hit it on the edge and it went bing, 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 and he was muting it and hitting it. It's just so amazing.
Let's go.
A coffee can. So, all these things, which reminds me, I still have your grandma's Omnichord.
Omnichord.
I have not used it yet.
Really? I've been waiting for that record. I've been waiting for that text. Yo, I finally used it. I'm like, okay.
It's safe at the studio.
I knew it was. Yeah. I was considering asking you for, recently, since I hit you up to do this interview and everything. And I'm like, nah. I know it's.
It'll end up on something, but it's just a matter of what, and it's got to be the right spot for it.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what Omnichord is, it was supposed to be the next big thing as an instrument, back when it came out in the 80s, right? Maybe before that.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, it's an electronic thing. I think early 80s.
Yeah, probably early 80s. So it's this weird, ovally shaped.
It's got buttons on it, and it's got this little thing you strum.
Yeah, like a touchpad.
Yeah.
Revolutionary.
I knew it from church as a kid, Well, I guess I started in about 6th grade in church, but seeing people play it and sing songs with kids, little church songs, and that's what they played in the room.
Yeah. What astonishes me about that instrument is it's very abrasive. Other than a volume, there's not really dynamics.
Yeah, it's on or off.
It's like on or off. Yeah. Like an organ, right? Yeah, it's very loud and abrasive. You either have to kind of put it lower in the mix, or just use the
skills.
Yeah,
that could play it
I'm gonna look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, I guarantee you, there's people. It's like melodica. I got a melodica. I used to get it from Simon would give me a new instrument every Christmas.
Oh, cool.
That's how I got the ocarina.
Okay.
Did we play that one?
No, I used mine.
You used yours, and so you were so excited that.
But I did use your toy xylophone.
Oh yeah.
Is that from Simon?
So, yeah. All of those instruments. Every Christmas, I would get
same song.
A weird instrument. So automaton.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah, those weird gimmicky instruments, especially I feel like the 80s. That whole electronic boom.
Yeah.
Electronic era. They were throwing everything at the wall, guitars, keyboards, synthesizers.
It's fun. Some of the best sounds I've gotten. One in particular I remember is we needed this real stompy kind of sound. This is years ago. And it was a flip-flop on a trash can, on a plastic Fort Worth trash can. What? And the lid would flip up every time you'd hit it with the flip-flop.
Okay.
And it just made this really cool sound, yeah. And so you just never know. On Southern Satellites project with TJ, we did a lot of stuff like that, percussion. Built whole big percussion tracks out of hitting chairs and stuff,
That's incredible.
Chains, and we needed the chains in the bucket, and we were talking about, let's do this chains in the bucket thing, and I've never done that. All these years I've talked about it, and so I found a metal sawhorse, and he went out to his bus and got a chain, and we just created this whole track.
That's so cool. Yeah. Dude, shout out to the Omnichord most definitely, but also shout out to Tom Waits, because I know from Automoniker that Tom Waits, yeah. See, there you go. It's Tom Waits shit. Strings on a dumpster. I already knew he was gonna say it. Strings on a dumpster. Yeah, he put stringed up a dumpster. He would stop in the middle of the road, what is that thing on the side of the road?
Right,
pull over, hit it, we'll use it, and throw it in the truck or whatever. It's. I love that level of innovation. Recording. I feel like it was Frank's Wild Years or something like that in New York City in this dingy basement, and there's drips from the. From something that was happening, they're let's record that.
Yeah, exactly. John Cage, he's a 20th century classical composer.
John Cage, yes, 433.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but he would do timed pieces where they're in a warehouse, and it's everybody's reading this sheet, and it's at 30 seconds, hit this tire 2 times, and all these things going, tune this radio to this at this time, and it just creates chaotic music that turns into music if your ear can tweak it that way.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about 433, which it's something about 20,000 hertz is a whole episode just on 433.
Oh, really?
And what's hilarious is I thought I knew about it really, but that I learned the most from that. There's 3 movements to 433, which is super hilarious.
Real particular how you perform it.
Yeah, it's very particular, and it's not the song itself. It's not the performer. It's literally the room, the environment in which you play it. And that's, what John Cage was. He was there's music all around us. The framing of it. It's just...
Well, it's what
You
is
put like
music?
an empty photo frame in front of something now. That's art, right?
Yeah, I equate it to looking at a cloud and seeing something in the cloud.
Yep.
I mean, it's the same. There's music going on all around us.
Exactly.
And we reach up and grab it and pull it out and do different things.
I want to know, like, did you know, like in the early days of like vinyl records, right, and jukeboxes and like all that, right? They had music playing in restaurants like for the first time, and people would come in. They're like, what is going on? I'm not gonna eat here anymore. They got music playing while we're eating. Like, I'm trying to eat, right? And so
I don't want to dance.
Yeah, I don't want to dance. Like, if I was gonna go see music, I'll go to the venue where the musicians are and hear them play. Why would I hear them?
It's compartmentalized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like they're like, I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to concentrate on my meal and talk to my family. You know what I mean? Like, now it's so common. Like I think some point in the 50s or something, some guy pressed a completely blank vinyl record and and sold it to jukebox manufacturers because people were like so sick of hearing music.
Oh, it was just
they got the blank one.
It was a pause.
Like, exactly.
Wow.
So because it was just so taxing just to hear music all the time.
Well, unless I'm talking to somebody, I'm listening to music generally speaking. And I do talk on the phone a lot, to friends and then clients, and Erica and I talk a lot. But if it's not that, I got my AirPods in and I'm closed off from the world and listening to something.
Yeah, and it's incredible just to think of the world we live in. Like just how almost jaded to music we are. Like people will put hours into tracks and production.
120,000 songs a day now. It's gone. Remember, COVID was 60,000 a day, and it's gone up from 40,000 to 60,000 songs a day on streaming service. Now it's 120. So music is being created every day.
Every day.
120,000 of them.
120,000 every second of every day.
If you can't find something to listen to, you're not looking.
Like wrench on a car rim, 13 shells from 30 out 6. Shouting out Tom Waits, you already know.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, music is everywhere. It's unavoidable, and yeah, people like John Cage, Tom Waits, like pulling it out of thin air, and like come back to the part of the universe. Even Rick Rubin talks about this all the time. Music is almost like an entity, like it's its own being.
It is, yeah. It's something that lives and moves, and it's something that moves people deeply. And I haven't met too many people who didn't like music.
Yeah, exactly.
One or two. It's like, no. I mean, everybody can name songs from being a kid. And what was happening, or you meet a girl, and the song's playing, and it goes together with life.
Right. Yeah. Because there'll be songs that remind you of like certain times, certain moments in time, like there are songs to this day, like old pop punk songs that if I hear it, I think of the level I would play in Tony Hawk Pro Skater or whatever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I just associate that, and yeah. It's
suicidal tendencies means skateboarding and riding bikes.
Right.
That was that time.
Do you ever find yourself going back and revisiting Dead Milkman?
I just did. My buddy Paul Holder said he went down a suicidal tendencies. So I popped some on the other day when I was driving home.
That's always cool. I love revisiting stuff like that because I feel. Do you ever hear something new? You're like, oh, like in something really well, but then you listen to it after a long time. You're like,
so I go through spells of different things. So I'll listen to something over and over and over so much that I just pick it apart. I try to listen as an average listener most of the time and just enjoy. But then you start picking things out and picking it apart and. I don't know. It's hard to say. I hear all of it.
Yeah, I hear all of it. Yeah, there'll be stuff that straight up surprised me because even when I first got into recording, I was really into those old hardcore punk band stuff like Minor Threat and Black Flag and all them. And I'm like, dude, these are great, so good. And then I would make a recording. I'm like, this sounds amazing. This is the best recording that's ever existed on Earth. And then but I didn't listen to pop music. I didn't listen to any type of radio stuff, So at the time, my music sounded great compared to the really shitty 4-track or 8-track recordings I was listening to. Yeah. And I'd listen to a contemporary punk rock song, like, oh man, my recording sucks.
Well, but does it?
Exactly.
It's art. So there's no right or wrong. And it's so funny working with clients who actually really have a vision of what they want. and you go this, and they're like, that's awful. And I'm like, oh, that sounds great to me. And then they're like, no, that's not my vision. Oh, yeah, let's get this back over to your vision. And it may not be technically, a good sound, quote unquote. So I have in my brain what I think the perfect kick drum sound is.
Right.
If I don't achieve that, a lot of times I think it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I find that it's so beautiful when it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have 20 kick drum sounds that I think sound amazing in my head. And then, it's just, it keeps growing and growing and growing. It's like Victor Wooten talks about, you can't play a wrong note.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really can't,
Right.
If you know how to resolve it and know where to go, it's beautiful. And a guy at our church was telling me a story about playing at this black gospel event, and he's the only token white guy there, and he gets to play a solo, and he plays the most awful first note you could play. He's so embarrassed. And like one of the guys who was pretty high up at this university is like, man, I really dug that solo. And so it was a matter of his perspective of what he could handle musically.
Right.
And, it's just like the jazz thing. The more you surround yourself with in-depth, outside-the-box music, the more you understand or can tolerate, outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. Have you gotten on to Jacob Collier yet?
I don't know who it is.
No, okay. I wasn't sure. He's like basically a musical prodigy. Like he
really?
got famous off of YouTube from doing a cappella covers, like 30 different voices, and he would do like crazy reharmonizations of everyday songs, right? Like one of them was like a Flintstones theme song. And Quincy Jones actually found him, discovered him.
I might have seen something with Quincy Jones and this guy.
Probably, I don't know. He's like
Just
27, very young.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's done 4 albums, but the last 3 are called Jesse Volume 1, 2, and 3, and they're all a different musical universe.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, he talked about the same thing.
What's the universe?
Okay, the first one's like classical Celtic.
Oh, okay.
Kind of stuff. The
okay.
second one is more Western contemporary, like stuff like that, folky folk.
Okay.
And then the third one is like pop and R&B. So that's that one.
Huh.
It's incredible. The next one is a combination of all 3, but with the emphasis on the human voice, which I can't fucking wait. It comes out in February.
When you said that, I was thinking, okay, he's going to do like tertian harmony in thirds, and he's going to do something in fourths.
Yeah, he does
in fifths,
all that type of shit.
And those are the different. I don't know why my brain automatically.
No, I mean he does all that in all of his music,
yeah.
Regardless of genre that he's going for. I'll send you like 1 or 2 songs, but dude is incredible. I saw it, like, to this day, it's the best live show I've ever been to in my life. He does this thing with the audience. He has perfect pitch and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like by definition, like Prodigy, like God just make a musical being. And anyway, so he does this thing where he gets his audience to like sing a note, right? Mm-hmm. And then right side sing a note, mm-hmm. then middle sing a different note, mm-hmm. and then third side sing another note, and then we're all doing a chord, right? Yeah. And then he like has the right side go up, and this side go down, and we're doing all these different changes and voicings and stuff like that. Most incredible thing I've ever been a part of. Another thing he did during the show was he did like 40 cities in the U.S. and every city he had them sing a different word to a song. And at the end of the tour, he's gonna
put it all together.
That's
amazing.
Yes,
I love
at the end, he's like, "I'm put it all together." We had 2 words. Shout out to Texas.
From a business standpoint, did you buy it?
What do you mean?
Did the music come out for sale?
No, he released that like as a yes, no, I don't know.
That's a brilliant marketing move.
Yeah,
I must say. If I may put that hat on for a moment.
Yeah, no, most definitely, dude. Like, do it. I get it's probably something to do with the app or whatever, because he had us all record. He's like, I don't want people to have their phones during the set. Like, especially this one song, this specific song. But he's like, I want people to be in the moment and all about our moments are now, so like live them while you're here. That kind of thing. Like, it's a very really such a good feeling that through that whole show, good vibe. But he's like, at this point, I do want you to take out your phone, put it in your face camera, record yourself singing this one song, and then at the end of the tour, and put all these songs together. It was "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You" by Elvis, right? And we had in love, and since he had perfect pitch, he would say it, and then he'd get 3 takes. He's like, everybody do it. And then everybody do it and do it 3 takes and get the best one and put all of our faces on these like.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's again one of the incredible shows I've ever been to. He just did a song with Brandy Carlisle. He just hasn't. You don't know Brandy Carlisle?
No.
Bro, she's like totally. She's Americana, like totally in your lane. Like
I could have heard her, but
Grammy winning.
Yeah.
She's been covered by like Ian Ryan.
Bridgers route.
Oh, Phoebe Bridgers, like she's incredible. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
a lot of Americana stuff.
Yeah,
I could have possibly heard her because I do let it just play while I'm mowing and driving, and
I'm sure like.
But, I'm down a pretty specific path right now. John Fulbright's probably my favorite.
I don't know who that is. You gotta show me. Is that more Americana?
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Americana. I'll have to show you after.
Yeah,
he's got
we'll go down that.
He breaks the fourth wall on a song that's just amazing. He talks about it's called 1645, and he's talking about the chord progression. And he just comes out of it, and it's amazing.
There's a word for that.
The fourth wall?
No, not the fourth wall, but there's a word for that, specifically a musical term for like, doing like actually doing something you're saying in the lyrics, like like don't stop and everything stops.
Yeah,
you know? Like that, and that's a good example. Or like going up, something up, and they say up and sing.
It's like the Pink Floyd thing in Wizard of Oz. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Look up. Look up. It's like, dude.
I swear they wrote this album to this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude. I did that a couple times. I blew some people's mind at work about that too. Like, you haven't done it? Somebody on YouTube took care of it for you. You don't even think it's the Bible.
Oh, really? Yeah. Back in the day, we were like having the countdown with the line roars, and it's like, oh, is it the one in color or the one in black and white? We don't know which one to start it on.
Exactly. Yeah, someone on YouTube did all the work. They put them together with
that's cool.
Exactly how it's supposed to start, where like the time and it takes to flip the vinyl, all that. Like I'm like, okay, sweet. So I watched the whole movie like in like 3 different settings.
I have to do that again. It's been years and years.
Yeah, it's crazy. I haven't done that. Pink Floyd, the Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon, is that what it's called? Yeah, and Wizard of Oz, like sync up together.
It's pretty
crazy.
amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things.
I think scholars have dug deep to figure out how that happened.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I remember like the moment where she falls off the fence into the thing, and they're all like freaking out trying to help her. Like it gets like a really like avant-garde, or I don't know what they call that, but the ambient
avant-garde's good.
Yeah, that ambient sound that they
turns to color.
And you're like, what? Money? I think that's when money happens.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that shit's incredible.
We're way off the rails.
Way off the rails, but it's so cool. I like musical. I like musical anomalies.
Yeah. I mean, it's back to what we were talking about with John Cage. And, I mean, it's just things that happen. Mm-hmm. So I would say a lot of times in the studio I'm playing and I hit something. It's not what I was going for, but it's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I thought I missed it. And I listened back and it's like, oh, that's really brilliant. Mm-hmm. It just happened. And so that happens with me and a client a lot. I don't have it in my head what they're actually going for specifically on this one part, exactly the notes, and they play something they didn't intend to, and I'm like, that's beautiful. And they're like, no, I messed up. It's like, but listen to it.
And then trash it.
But listen to it. Listen to it.
How often do you win that fight? Well, not really a fight, but you know what I mean.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Ask TJ. TJ and I, we created 2 masterpieces, truly, and he's brilliant. He's a great acoustic guitar player and has a mind for production. But most of the time, how I win that fight is I go, just let me do it. Mm-hmm. Just let me keep this. And if you don't like it in the end, I will take it out. And sometimes they ask to take it out, and at the end of the mix, when I finish the mix and I think it's perfect and I present it to the client and they want to make changes, I don't question it. It's their project and it's their art. So I do that. But if it's something I believe in, I'll push and stand up for it. And if it's something that doesn't matter, let it go.
Right. So, have you had any like pushback with the muted snare?
Oh, no. That's so popular.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, I won't name any names, but I was working with a musician who was playing a part, and we had changed the song so much, and he just came in at the end. He was part of a band, and he was playing this part on it, and it didn't work. It was kind of out of key, and it just didn't feel right. And it's like, why do you insist on playing that? And he goes, because that's what I've always played. And we had changed the arrangement around it, and it's like, no, you can't do that. Come on, that's not why you do something.
Yeah, you serve the song.
Use your ears, and try to use your ears and listen. And so, Erica is a great artist, my wife, and she's a very fine baker too. So, Rolled Out Bakery US.
Rolled Out, I'll link it in the description in the YouTube version.
She does her art and everything together. I mean, she's such a creative person. I lost my train of thought of what I was going to say. Dadgummit.
You're talking about the musicians who insist to keep something.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone. Damn. I can imagine though, like it's like the same thing. Like I've heard. I sent you Glenn Fricker. Like he's an angry metal producer.
Yeah, I watch him occasionally.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't watch much of that anymore.
Yeah.
I used to really spend time learning from those guys.
Yeah. But one thing that he said was like somebody will bring in a guitar that's like clearly broken or like just has bad like setup or intonation or something like that. And he's like, yo, I have guitars right here, and they're like, no, this is the guitar. This is my guitar. I want this one to be the one on the record. It's like, but it's gonna sound worse. You know what I mean?
I had a guy who had I think it was a 50-something Strat that Stevie Ray Vaughan actually played, and so he refused to change the strings.
Oh my God.
It was a priceless guitar instrument. And he played my $300 Strat on that record, which sounded way better because he wouldn't change the strings. They were rusty.
Yeah,
it sounded awful.
Like literally rusty.
Literally,
I already know what they said.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Stevie Ray
died
Vaughan's
90, right?
Yeah, somewhere. I think we've had this conversation.
Yeah, probably
89, 90.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to go see him at the Blues Fest in Dallas, and they ended up having the Fabulous Thunderbirds headline it.
Oh shit!
Which is his brother.
Oh really? I didn't know
Jimmy
that.
Vaughan, yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So we didn't get to see.
So that was the same year, I guess. Yeah, that tour. Yeah.
89, I think, or not? I can't remember. Yeah. I'm bad with years. Way back yonder.
Yeah, way back yonder. Yeah, for real. Like the only reason I know is because like I feel like I'm like almost obligated to like study some type of musical history. Like the more I get into music and like trying to produce my own stuff and all that comes along with it. You start to feel, like you were talking about imposter syndrome earlier. It's like you start to feel like, oh shit, like who am I? You know what I mean? I don't even know who. I've never even heard Texas Flood all the way through. Like, what the fuck is my problem?
Yeah,
I don't deserve to be here. But,
yeah, imposter syndrome is a real deal. It's difficult being a creative person. So I'm 50-50. Like I've got business side and creative side too. And I can't imagine if you're all creative. Like those are the people who can't function in life. Have you seen the guy who he can hear anything on piano and play it back?
Oh my God! I know there's people that can do that.
He can't function. He has to have a handler, and I think he might be blind. I can't remember. But he just literally any classical piece, anything. The Entertainer, he just hears it one time and he can play it back perfect.
That's incredible.
Never miss a note. But he can't function. His brain just like put it all to that. And that was it. And nothing else hardly. There's basic breathing functions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that, but.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Like I feel like I was kind of going down that path at some point, as far as being creative part, like I was so against social media and I still kind of am,
I don't look at it a whole lot, I limit it a lot because I think it takes away from my life, and it makes me more ADD than I am. It makes me worse.
Yeah, how I pretty much reconciled that is like I output more than I input. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting there scrolling all day. At least I try not to.
Right.
Like, you'll catch me sometime.
It's hard when you're in the bathroom sometimes.
Yeah. Hell yeah. But like and even just more recently, you know what I mean? Like before it was like all about like putting out content. I have to have content. Like I would put content complete I still do at the end of all my posts. You know, like it would be like, this is the point of this post. Here's all the hashtags. Content complete. You know, it's like my kind of tongue in cheek. Like I'm obligated to do this as like a new artist in a new age. You know what I mean? An independent, artist. Still do, but like recently, I'm like, well, the content can be art too. You know what I mean? Like since we were kids, me and Automatica, shout out, we would get our grandma's old what is that called? The VHS recorder.
Yeah, and you held it on your shoulder. Me and Paul from Houston used to make these crazy videos all the time.
Yeah, like non-music videos, just like.
Oh yeah, he would act like a reporter, and I'd follow him around with the camera and stuff like that.
Exactly, like we would make kung fu videos where we would like record the person going like. And then the one holding the camera would say the words, but we didn't know what we were saying. So we just, and we'd go back and forth and do like a kung fu video. And just stupid stuff like that, or make like a tech deck skate.
Oh, yeah.
Like a what's it called? Like X Games event.
Yeah. Oh, you're right, yeah.
Like just stupid stuff like that. And I'm like, what is the difference between that and making a TikTok? Really nothing.
Nothing, except for how many people can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to invite people over to your house and put it on the VCR to play it for them.
Right.
Then.
So, then it became like, okay, well, I'm sitting here recording music and being like, look at this, look at this, look at this. I recorded this. And, like, why can't I do the same thing with my video? Why is it, when I start, when it comes to making content and putting it on a social platform, I had to, really get down to my own
break that
roots.
mindset.
Yeah, break that mindset.
It's
like
a leash again. It's a leash again. Yeah. So and that's just as creative as anything else. Art is art, and it's all art, And so I've noticed the background changes and stuff that you have, and when you're performing, and it's cool. Look at where you started and look at where you are.
Yeah.
All of us.
Most definitely. Okay, I heard Shannon say something in the living room. Sometimes she yells at me if something goes wrong, but I don't think she was talking to me. But yeah, art is art.
Yeah.
You can apply art to anything, It doesn't have to be an advertisement or a commercial. You can create and let that be the thing.
I think that's the philosophy I try to take at the studio. Everybody has the right to make art, right? Mm-hmm. Whether I like it or not, it's irrelevant completely. I have to find something good in it to produce it. Mm-hmm. If I can't, I don't. So it's a matter of I just try to bring the best out in those clients, and some other people just turn them down and say no, you suck or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in that at all. There are some things I can't do, but.
But you're willing to try and develop, something out of it. Like that's one thing I appreciate about all the Visi Inc. sessions and stuff like that. Like honestly, I do not have good opinions about those songs, or I feel like there's moments. Anytime I look back, I'm like, okay, that's why we made it or whatever. But there's still
it's your journey.
Yeah, it's part of my journey. You know what I mean? And taking those songs to you were introducing a different level to. Not take us away from what we're doing, but give us a bed, put our song on a nice, somewhere it belongs, you know what I mean? Like as far as like little techniques, like stuff I didn't know what an EQ was and how are you moving, taking out low end and high end and stuff like that. Stuff that I had no idea. I was like, what is
this is magic.
Like I remember seeing the EQ, like Pro Q, is that what you use in Pro Tools?
Yeah.
Right? And just being astonished, what is this line with all these dots on it, and how is it making that sound? Like, why is it so different?
It's a whole lifetime study.
It's a whole lifetime study, man.
Every little aspect.
Yeah.
But I think getting back to what we were talking about, here's a standard, let's say. I mean, of what's popular, and what standard is that? It's not really. But, for the masses it is. And then an artist is here, and if you can go here, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're on your journey to where you need to go and grow as an artist, and to where you want to go. And so it's funny working with people who are the first time, and that's really kind of my calling nowadays. It was hard to admit at one point because I wanted to be famous, working with famous artists and this and that when I was younger. And So I work with mainly upstart artists, and I do have some professional clients, but it's primarily people who are wanting to get into the industry and helping develop them, and help them find their sound. And so that journey is so important, because some people go, "This is the standard. You're here. You're not good." That's not true. You have to see it as this is their journey up, and so.
As long as you keep walking,
As long as you keep walking.
Yeah.
I had a client who was, I'll shout him out, Dana Deathridge. When he came to me, he really couldn't play with a click track. And his guitar playing was pretty rough on his record. We recorded the rhythm tracks and kind of got everything laid down. And
he played the rhythm tracks too?
He wanted to play the guitar parts himself.
All of them?
Just the guitar, just the acoustic.
Okay.
And so I think we did, I can't remember on his record, sorry Dana. I think we programmed a lot of stuff, and then we had Milo play on it and all of that. So we had all that without his acoustic parts, and or maybe the basic rhythm tracks, I can't remember. And so it's like, okay, Dana, here's how you practice, and here's like he's a songwriter. He's not a acoustic aficionado, and so to sit down and like really hone through this stuff. Here's a click track, live with it. He slept with it on, and he internalized it.
That's so cool.
It took him a month. He came back in, he killed the tracks. Some other people in the industry said, "You're not good. I'll never work with you." And he got 2 write-ups in the Fort Worth Weekly about his music, and his journey is strong. He's a great songwriter, man.
That's cool.
But he stepped up and he did the work he had to do to play his own acoustic parts, and it was great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So I love that about people and helping them on their path. Like a lot of people just don't know how to practice.
That's something that I definitely had a problem. Like I feel like I knew the chords, but I'm like, well, how do I practice? Like I know how to move from one to another, but it's like, what do I do beyond this? Like there's a point where you kind of plateau as far as like your learning journey, and then kind of like not really even a plateau. It's like a crossroads of like hundreds. You know what I mean?
Oh sure.
Because you can learn a chord, but like what's that dude? He's Zach Brown. He's a Zach Brown band. Like he was a classically trained guitarist, right? And then the first time he saw a cowboy chord on this part of the neck, he's like, "What is that?" You know what I mean?
I've had the same experience.
Yeah. And you're like, "What's like you start to have options and choices and directions you can go."
And
like
when you think you know everything, you get humbled fast.
Humbled so fast. like it's not all blues. It's not all classical. Yeah. And if you want to get good at any one of them, you're going to have to focus on one of them at a time. You can't
no doubt.
You can't be like doing blues licks one day and then like go try the classical piece and then going back and forth. It might work, but it'll be way slower than if you were to focus.
Yeah, I think in college, our guitar professor, the head of the department, would talk about a study. I believe it was done at Harvard, of basketball players that practiced 21 times a day, 21 days in a row, free throws, and it's kind of a permanent muscle memory thing. And so, but the problem with that is I did that work when I played with Jamie Richards. I had a hard time playing Tommy Dedemore's guitar licks. I mean, he's a monster. And
you're talking about in the cover, the tribute band?
No, Jamie's a Texas artist who does all originals.
Okay.
And so this was after that band.
But, so you were having trouble playing his original stuff?
Yeah, from the record. I mean, it was tough. It was hard parts. I'd never played that kind of country before.
Okay.
There were a lot of bends with this finger. I'm a blues guy. I always bent with this finger, and so bending this note up with this finger, it would rip the skin away from my nail. And so I had to strengthen that. But I found out the hard way. I knew the stuff sitting. My first gig.
Oh no!
Standing, my hands out of position. And I made it through the gig. I have enough knowledge on country music to play good parts, but I wasn't playing the parts that were supposed to be there. A lot of people didn't know, but And then so then sitting down and rehoning that and going, okay, I know these parts, but I have to do it standing up. If I can't do it 21 times in a row perfect, at tempo, I'm gonna miss it live
Mm-hmm.
every time. The pressure's on, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. I come with that problem every week on my Wednesday sessions. And like same thing with the Dwayne Johnson solo. Like I played that sitting down.
Oh yeah.
For like is it months, you know? And I got into the studio and you know, so like sometimes you ask me if I want to sit down or stand up, and that like I was like frozen red light syndrome. I was
all
like,
get it.
try sitting down, try standing up, try to sit, you know, and I was like, I cannot get this, you know, and yeah, sometimes you got to be able to do it. You got to be versatile. You got to be able to you have to practice in the environment you're going to use it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
exactly.
like basketball, you can't be shooting free throws on an 8-foot goal, and then whenever you go start playing the game, now you're on a 10-foot goal.
Right.
That practice don't mean shit.
Well, and just doing it, you can practice mentally too. You don't have to have the guitar in your hand. You can think about it, and it still you progress pretty well. You know.
That's true. That's true. So, I did hear about that too.
How does it feel? You know, I could still feel. I could still play that. You know, it would hurt my fingernail probably, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I could still play that pretty flawlessly.
That's cool.
After all that time of putting it in there, I hadn't even touched it in years.
Yeah, that's really dope, man. Okay, so kind of want to leave it on like some last word shit. Like as far as like where your journey has taken you, like what would be like the biggest takeaway like that you've learned as far as like just navigating the music business in general?
I don't know everything.
Yeah. I guess don't assume you know everything.
Yeah,
like
just don't think you're right all the time. That's a big one. It's a changing world. Everything's changing so quick. How do we adapt and do it for yourself? Don't do it for any other reason. I mean, Rick Rubin talks about it. You know, do your art. Don't worry about the money.
Right. Yeah. That's bars.
Yeah. Try to manage your emotional and mental pain.
Yep.
Of being an artist.
That was the sound alert. That was the sound alert. So, yep.
Oh, okay. Are we still on?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So as creatives, we all have these things. We just read a book called The War of Art, and it's about just getting stuck and where it's hard to create, and you know, a lot of times when it's time for me to sit down and really do something, I'll clean the house first, and it's just procrastination. And why do I have that resistance? And a lot of times it's just it's an emotional or mental issue of me going, I'm not good enough. You know, and so we all suffer from that.
Yeah.
Some of my friends who are in the industry talk about it. It's good to have people you can talk about with, because it's like, I suck. I chose the wrong career. I should be a janitor.
Right.
You know? So, but you push through and you do it, and you don't hyper focus so much on just one thing, and you know, and you do it because you love it.
Right. You
spend as much time as it takes to get it done.
Most definitely, dude. I've definitely, like, personally, I've always had a problem with like my singing voice, you know, and so you know, I just feel like it's just like a timbre and just a certain, I don't know, like a certain, like, you know, like Mariah Carey, right? Like she was born, she was good. I do not by any means, right? She was born with those vocal cords. I was gonna use like a sports analogy, like, okay, imagine like, you know, Michael Jordan or just some tall basketball player. You know, he was built, you know, was physically built for that sport. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a certain physical limitation to anything that you're going to try to do, and I feel like my voice particularly, I just have some physical limitations that I'll never, as much as I want to sing like Mariah Carey, you know, like it's just not going to happen.
You do the best you can do with what you got.
Exactly. And that's probably been the thing that I've tried, that I've fought with myself mostly, you know, with like in the part where you say I suck, you know, that's the thing. It's like I fucking suck. Every critique I've ever had from like sending a song to a playlist or a curator or whatever has always been like, yeah, but the vocals suck. Yeah, but the voice is weird. Yeah, but you know, it's like something like that. But you know, like something that always kind of keeps me going is like, it's kind of more old school, but like Neil Young and David Byrne.
They sing with passion and emotion.
Yeah, sing with passion and emotion. I met this dude at open mic. He was like the coolest dude ever. He was like, I think he's in his 70s or something like that. But he's just like playing open mics, just enjoying himself. And I was like, dude, like you sound great. And he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, I wish I would have known it younger, but when I was younger, I tried to sing like somebody. I tried to sing like this guy. I tried to sing like that guy. And it's like until somebody told me you need to just sing like yourself.
Oh, right.
And then I was like, you know, something that still sticks to me. You know what I mean? So, always try your best. Always do your best.
Yeah.
Yep. Dude, Greg, it's been awesome having you here.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate you doing this interview. I have everybody tag this table. I want this table completely filled. But sign it however you want it. You can put SG Studios on there or whatever. But motherfucking Greg White. If you're in the Fort Worth area, my motherfucking pleasure. Chick-fil-A on some Chick-fil-A, my pleasure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out by hitting that bathroom.
Right, yeah, have at it, man. Yeah, so, thanks for Greg being here, man. SG Studios, if you're in the Fort Worth area. Thank you, if you're in the Fort Worth area, you need some songs recorded, Greg, he will take care of you. He will make sure that, thank you. He will make sure that your song comes out how you want it. And we'll definitely serve the song. He brings the best musicians, so yeah, go check out SG Studios. I'll link that stuff in the YouTube description as well. But yeah, thanks for hanging out.